What if I told you that some of the best coffee on the planet is made in Japan, using methods that would get you thrown out of every coffee shop in America? Your coffee is bitter, your iced coffee is watery, your expensive beans taste like a gas station cup by day 3. Japanese kissaten masters have spent 100 years breaking almost every rule the American coffee industry insists on. A few of these I learned from my grandma Yuki, who never explained a single one of them. Today, we are counting down 29 banned Japanese coffee tricks, and by number 1, you will never make coffee the same way again. Let's get into it. Number 29, fold the seam on your filter. Drop one into a cone and it never sits flush. Fold the bottom seam one way, the side seam the other, then rinse until the paper clings. That seals the paper to the cone, so water travels through the coffee instead of racing down a gap beside it. That is called channeling, and it is why half your grounds get extracted and half just get rinsed. This is why Japanese baristas rinse the filter first. Number 28, warm the cup in the server. You dial in a perfect brew and pour it into a cold mug that steals 30 degrees in seconds. Fill your cup and carafe with hot water while the kettle heats, then dump it before you pour. Volatile aromatics. Lift off the surface of hot liquid, and a cold mug shuts that down. This is how Japanese cafes serve a cup that smells like something to the last sip. Number 27, rest your beans 4 to 7 days after roasting. Everybody chases the freshest bag, brews it 2 days off the roaster, and wonders why it tastes thin and sour. Look for the roast date, not the expiration date. 4 days minimum, 7 for dark. Roasting packs beans full of carbon dioxide, and for those first days, that gas pushes your brew water back out, so extraction goes uneven and sharp. This is why Japanese roasters print the roast date in big numbers and tell you to go wait. And since we are on storage, here is the one that makes people angry. Number 26, freeze your beans in single-dose portions. Every American coffee blog has told you for 20 years that freezing beans is a crime. They are wrong. Weigh 20 grams into airtight bags, press the air out, freeze them, and grind straight from frozen. Cold slows the oxidation that turns coffee flat and cardboard tasting. And frozen beans are brittle, so they shatter into uniform particles instead of smearing into dust and boulders. This has been standard in serious Japanese cafes for years. Number 25, weigh your coffee, never scoop it. A scoop measures volume, and beans do not have consistent density. A light roast and a dark roast at the same scoop can be 4 grams apart, which is the difference between a good cup and a bad one. Get a cheap scale. Use 1 part coffee to 15 parts water, 20 grams of coffee, 300 grams of water. That ratio decides how much soluble material lands in your cup, which is what bitterness and sourness are. This is the biggest gap between Japanese home cooks and most Americans. Number 24, grind right before you brew. Pre-ground coffee is fine for a week, and then it is brown powder that used to be interesting. Breaking a bean open multiplies its surface area, and the compounds that make coffee smell like coffee are volatile, so they start leaving. Within 15 minutes, a real share of the aroma is gone, and aroma is most of what you think of as flavor. This is how Japanese cafes get that smell that hits you the second the door opens. It is also how my grandma Yuki started every morning, a hand grinder between her knees at 6 in the morning, 40 years running, and I thought it was just something old people did. Number 23, boil the water, then wait 45 seconds. You cannot burn coffee with water. That is a myth. What you can do is over-extract it. Boil, take the kettle off, count to 45. You want about 92 degrees Celsius, roughly 198 degrees Fahrenheit. Hotter water pulls solubles faster, and the compounds that come out last are the harsh, bitter ones. Drop the temperature slightly, and you slow that tail end without losing the good stuff up front. This is why Japanese pour-over bars keep a thermometer on the counter. Number 22, use soft, filtered water. You pour 300 grams of water over 20 grams of coffee. Your water is not a detail, it is the drink. Skip distilled. Use filtered water around 50 to 100 parts per million of dissolved minerals. Magnesium and calcium physically bind to flavor compounds and carry them out of the grounds. Too few, and extraction goes hollow. Too many, and it goes chalky. Japan's tap water happens to be naturally soft, a quiet, unfair advantage their whole coffee culture was built on. Now the pour, which is where Japan really separates itself. Number 21, bloom for 45 seconds, not 15. Most people splash water on, count to 5, and start pouring. That is a formality, not a bloom. Pour twice the weight of your coffee in water, 40 grams for 20. Then wait a full 45 seconds and watch it puff up and settle. That puff is trapped carbon dioxide escaping, and until it is gone, the gas physically blocks water from soaking in. This is the beat every Japanese pour-over bar refuses to rush, even with a line out the door. Number 20, pour slowly in small concentric circles. Dumping water into the middle digs a crater and leaves the edges barely touched. Use a gooseneck kettle. Start at the center, spiral out to a centimeter from the paper, spiral back in, and finish in 3 minutes. A slow, even stream keeps every particle in contact with water for the same time. Uneven contact means some grounds go bitter and others go sour in the same cup. That thin, controlled spout is the whole reason the gooseneck kettle was popularized in Japan. Number 19, never pour down the filter wall. It feels tidy, and it is wrecking your coffee. Keep your pour inside the bed, a centimeter short of the paper. Water that hits the paper slides down the side into your cup without touching a single ground. That is called bypass, and it is just adding hot water to your brew after you carefully measured your ratio. This is the first thing a Japanese barista is taught, and the last thing most home brewers learn. Number 18, flatten the bed at the end. You finish the pour, and the grounds are climbing the filter walls in an uneven crust. That crust is coffee that stopped brewing early. As the last water drains, give the dripper one gentle swirl until the bed settles level. Grounds stranded on the wall are out of the extraction, so bringing them down means everything finishes together. A flat, even bed is what Japanese baristas look at first before they taste it. Number 17, pull the dripper off before the last drips. Those final drips are not a bonus, they are the worst coffee in the brew. When your scale hits the target weight, lift the dripper off and set it aside. Extraction runs in order, sugars and acids first, bitter phenolics last. The tail of the drawdown is almost entirely that harsh material at maximum concentration. You are not being wasteful, you are cutting out the bitterness. This is why kissaten masters brew short and strong and walk away mid-drip. Number 16, a pinch of salt in the grounds. Every American coffee person will tell you, salt is a gimmick for people who bought bad beans. They are wrong, and the science is not close. Add about a 1/16 of a teaspoon to your dry grounds before you bloom. Sodium actively suppresses your perception of bitterness. It is not masking it the way sugar does. It interferes with the bitter receptors on your tongue before the signal is sent. You cannot taste the salt, only the smoothness. I told my grandma Yuki the salt was a waste of time and that she was ruining a perfectly good pot. I have since apologized in writing. Number 15, the Mount Fuji drip. Modern pour-over is a race to be fast and light. This goes the exact opposite direction. Grind coarse and mound the grounds into a peak in the center of the cone. Then drip water onto the tip of that peak, drop by drop, at only 85 degrees Celsius for 5 or 6 minutes. The low heat pulls out sugars and body while leaving the bitter compounds behind because those need heat and time together to release. This is the Matsuya method, one of the most distinctly Japanese ways to make coffee that exists. And since we are on kissaten territory, a few that never crossed the Pacific. Number 14, the drip bag. You stay in a hotel and drink whatever brown thing the lobby machine produces. A drip bag is a single-serving pouch of ground coffee with cardboard arms that hook over any mug. Tear it, hook it, pour hot water in 3 slow stages. It is a real pour-over with the geometry collapsed into a disposable, so you get actual bloom, drawdown, and filtration. Japan invented these decades ago, and most Americans have never seen one. Number 13, the V60's spiral ribs are doing real work. People buy a V60, treat it like a generic plastic cone, and never understand why it behaves differently. Because it drains fast, your grind size and pour speed control the brew time. Those spiral ridges hold the paper off the wall so air escapes and water flows, and the single large hole means the cone restricts nothing. The V60 gets out of the way and hands control to you. Hario designed it that way on purpose. Number 12, the Kalita Wave. Some mornings, you do not want to be a barista. You want a good cup with a mediocre pour. Use a Kalita Wave flat bottom, 3 small holes, fluted paper. The flat bed means the coffee sits in an even layer instead of a deep cone. And the 3 holes regulate the flow rate for you, absorbing your mistakes instead of amplifying them. This is why Japanese cafes reach for the wave when the line is long. Number 11, freeze coffee into ice cubes. Iced coffee starts strong and ends as brown water. That is not flavor, it is physics. Brew a batch, cool it, freeze it in a tray, and use those cubes instead of water ice. Melting ice dilutes by definition because the cube is water and that water joins your drink. If the cube is coffee, melting changes the temperature without changing the concentration, so the last sip is as strong as the first. Japanese cafes cube the same coffee they brewed the drink from. Number 10, 1 big cube in a chilled glass. 6 small cubes cool your drink fast and then destroy it fast. Use 1 large cube and chill the glass in the freezer for 10 minutes first. Melting happens at the surface, and small cubes have far more total surface area than 1 big cube of the same mass, so they melt far faster. This is the logic Japanese bars apply to whiskey, and Japanese cafes borrowed it for coffee without changing a thing. Number 9, coffee jelly. You have leftover coffee in the pot every day and you pour it down the drain. Take 400 milliliters of strong coffee, dissolve 5 grams of gelatin in it while it is hot, sweeten it, and chill for 3 hours. Cut it into cubes and drop it in a glass with cold milk. Gelatin sets a liquid into a solid that still melts at body temperature, so the flavor releases in your mouth instead of diluting in a glass. Kohi-zeri has been on kissaten menus since the 1960s. From here down, these genuinely change what you think coffee is. Number 8, build a cafe au lait base, not a latte. You pour hot coffee into cold milk and get a lukewarm beige disappointment. Brew deliberately strong 1 to 8, 30 grams of coffee to 240 grams of water. Cool it, then pour over ice with cold whole milk 1 to 1. Milk fat and protein physically bind to coffee's aromatics and mute them. So at normal strength, the milk wins. At double strength, the coffee survives contact. This is why Japanese coffee milk tastes like coffee and yours tastes like a sad glass of milk. Number 7, bypass brewing on purpose. Strength and extraction are 2 different things, which is why people ruin good coffee trying to make it less strong. Brew a small, strong, properly extracted batch at 1 to 12, then add hot water in the cup until it tastes right. Extraction is how much you pulled out of the grounds. Strength is how much water it sits in. You can fix strength in 2 seconds. You cannot fix a bad extraction ever. Japanese baristas separate these ideas ruthlessly. Number 6, decant into a warm thermos. Never reheat. A pot on a hot plate for 20 minutes is not coffee anymore, and the microwave is worse. Rinse a vacuum flask with hot water, pour the coffee in, seal it. Continued heat keeps chemical reactions running in a liquid that was supposed to be finished. Chlorogenic acids break down into quinic and caffeic acid, which is that sour, bitter, stale flavor you know from every office. A flask holds temperature without applying heat, so the reaction stops. Japanese cafes treat a warming plate like broken equipment. Number 5, sumiyaki charcoal roasted beans. Everyone argues about origin and process, and nobody talks about the heat source, which does more work than any of it. Look for beans labeled sumiyaki and brew them normally. Binchotan charcoal delivers most of its heat as infrared radiation rather than convection, so it cooks the inside of the bean at a different rate than hot air does. You get dark roasts that are smooth and almost sweet instead of ashy. Virtually no American roaster does it. Number 4, the siphon. It looks like laboratory equipment and people assume it is theater. It is not. Water in the bottom globe, heat it, vapor pressure pushes it up onto the grounds, stir, steep a minute, kill the heat. Vacuum pulls the coffee back down through a cloth filter. This gives you something no other method does: full immersion at a constant temperature, followed by real filtration. Pour over drops temperature the whole time. A French press leaves silt everywhere. Japan kept the siphon alive for 70 years while everyone else called it a gimmick. Number 3, the Nell drip. This produces the richest cup of coffee you will ever have, and almost nobody outside Japan has tried it. Use a flannel cloth filter, grind coarse, use a lot of coffee at 1 to 8, and drip water very slowly onto a mounded bed at low temperature. Paper filters are lipid traps. They physically remove coffee's natural oils, which is why paper coffee is clean and bright. Cloth has an open weave, so those oils come through, and that is where the body and that syrupy texture live. My grandma Yuki never told me why she wrung the cloth out and kept it in a glass of water in the fridge instead of letting it dry. She just moved my hand and said, "Do it this way." Number 2, mizudashi. Cold brew in the fridge, never on the counter. Almost every American recipe says steep at room temperature for 12 to 24 hours. That is how you get the heavy, flat, muddy flavor everybody has just accepted. Coarse grind, 1 to 8, cold water, straight into the refrigerator, 8 to 12 hours, then strain. Cold water extracts slowly and selectively and barely touches the harsh compounds that need heat. Room temperature is warm enough to pull those in, and long enough to let bacteria and yeasts get going. And here we are at number 1, Japanese iced coffee flash brew. If you take one thing from this video, take this. Put ice directly in your carafe, 40% of your total water weight. For 300 grams of water, that is 120 grams of ice in the server and 180 grams of hot water through the coffee. Grind slightly finer, bloom, and brew hot straight down onto that ice. Hot water extracts the full range of aromatics that cold water never touches, and the instant that coffee hits the ice, those volatiles are trapped in the liquid instead of steaming off into your kitchen. The ice is not diluting anything because it was already counted as part of your brew water. Hot brew complexity at cold brew temperature, 0 dilution, no waiting overnight. This is what Japanese cafes have served since the 1960s, and it is why iced coffee in Japan tastes like a completely different beverage. There you have it, 29 banned Japanese coffee tricks. Start with 3 or 4 this week. Weigh your coffee, bloom for a full 45 seconds, freeze your beans, and make 1 Japanese iced coffee the way we did at number 1. Your coffee will improve immediately and dramatically. A few of these came from my grandma Yuki, who never explained a single one of them, and who would be quietly pleased they are in your kitchen now. Drop a comment and tell me the one thing your grandmother did in the kitchen that you never understood until later. And subscribe if you want more deep dive cooking content like this. Yuki and I have so much more coming.